Welcome to the SU Spotlight. I'm your host, Josh Klein, and joined with the second team All-American in Steven Weidlich. Thank you for joining me, Steve.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you were just in Phoenix, a part of the All-State NABC and WBCA Good Works team, and you were honored at the Final Four in the championship game, and it was comprised of 10 student athletes, 5 from the NCAA Division I schools, and then you had another 10 from the Division II and Division III programs. Congratulations on being named, and can you talk a little bit about your experience that you had while you were in Arizona?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you first. Thanks for congratulating me. But yeah, it was a great experience. It's not every day that you get to go to the Final Four. It was my first trip to the Final Four. Coach has been there plenty of times, so it was nice to spend some time with him down there in another basketball environment. As you know, I was able to walk on the court during the Final Four game, which was a tremendous experience. There was 77,000 people there, which was sick. And I also got to go to the championship game, and I got to meet some cool people. I got to meet Dickie V, Steve Nash. We worked with him to do some kind of like a charity event with the Special Olympics. And then Grant Hill and Bill Rafferty were also there.
So do you have any how the year went, looking at how the year ended with you being in Arizona and looking at the challenges that you guys were faced this year?
Yeah, well, when you lose an All-American last year, Josh Miller, and I think Brandon might have been a 3-time All-Conference player, it's not really easy to bounce back from that, but our kind of mentality was that it was going to be a cultural change last year coming into this year, so we didn't want last year to be a one and done. We wanted to continue the culture and try to repeat kind of like we did last year and have another 20-win season. So it was nice that we could have 20-plus wins with losing 2 All-Conference players, big-time scorers for us, and took a lot of minutes out. And you know, we also lost Zach Newby, which a lot of people don't really remember, but he was phenomenal. You know, he was a great team guy and a great locker room guy, as they would say. So we really focused on those people, and we definitely had guys step in at all the roles and step up for sure. Even at Zach Newby's role, we had tremendous locker room guys this year, so it was phenomenal.
Can you talk about the chemistry that you've been able to develop with guys like Dalton Reichert and Jason Dietrich and Danny Weiss and Ryan Traub, a guy who you guys really went into when you guys were either in foul trouble or when you wanted to really push the inside game? Can you talk about the chemistry that you guys have been able to develop?
Yeah, it's been fun. I'm definitely going to miss playing with those guys. You know, you go through a lot, whether it's in the off season or during the season, and sometimes you butt heads, but for a majority of the time, you know, everybody knows what the plan is and what the goal is, so everybody has an understanding and a mutual respect for each other. So it's kind of going to be tough not to play with them again, and I hope Ryan's going to miss me next year because we had a good time. We had a good run together. But yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, me and Danny have been together for 4 years. I can't even imagine how many minutes we've played together with pickup and practice, and you know, it's amazing playing with somebody for that long and the way you can respond to the things that he does. You know, he knows where I'm going to cut. Like, we kind of had a chemistry like no other. I mean, there's not many people that you can say you've been on the floor with for 4 years. So it's been tremendous to be with all those guys.
I averaged 21 points per game, which led Susquehanna as well as leading the Landmark Conference. And you ended your career at Susquehanna with the number 2 all-time leading scorer as well as the second career three-point shooter. But you also broke the school record for three-point shooting with hitting 88 three-pointers. What is it like to kind of be on Susquehanna's Mount Rushmore?
I'd kind of say I had the easy job this year. You know, you have people like Tyler, Dalton stepping up, and then you have Diz and Seth who are also shooting well, and Jason and Zach are giving you one-mores, and you have Dan and Traub inside looking to kick it out. Like, it's easy to put the ball in the basket when they set you up. So for me, I mean, I got to thank my teammates for kind of all those things that you talked about. But yeah, it's a tremendous accomplishment. I'm very, very proud to be up there. You know, there's a couple great names up there, and I hope to keep the basketball going as much as possible.
Family aspect that Coach Marcinek has been able to build for the Susquehanna program.
Yeah, it's we struggled a lot kind of in the fall and the spring. And by struggle, I mean like spent a lot of time together early mornings, and I think that really brings you closer together. And Coach has he has a very specific path that he wants to follow. We meet weekly or bi-weekly, whatever he feels is necessary, and captains are in there a lot in his office. So it's not kind of like a random thing that we became so close this year. So there was a specific path, whether it be on the court, in the weight room, even socially. We try to spend a lot of time together. In the fall, we had a couple things, just team things, just to get us closer together and find that bond that we needed to succeed on the court. And eventually it clicked, which was
Like having your own brother as part of the program, where you don't really get to see that often, a brother duo on the same team, especially at the collegiate level. What's it like having your own brother here at Susquehanna with you?
It's awesome. He's a good guy. Yeah. Me and Dave spent too much time together probably. Yeah, but we go back and forth with everything, whether it be lifting or playing. You know, he'll kill me in the weight room, and I'll make sure I talk to him when we're shooting. You know, we definitely get into it more than other people get into it, which is awesome, because if you have somebody that competitive like that, and you know that we're always going to be, you know, best friends no matter what happens. So if me and him can get after it, and he was one who guarded me throughout a lot of practice. You know, he's tough as nails. So to have him scrapping and, you know, clawing at me all practice, I think it really helped me out this year, and I was happy to have him up there with us. Him, you know, Glenn and Owen, those guys were tremendous locker room guys, and I remember having a talk with them after the year about how special they were to our team and how much of an impact they were.
How inspire you guys going through, you know, with the whole, he was battling cancer, and you guys were really able to rally around him. How has he been able to really inspire the team to have a good push for during the playoff run?
Right. Yeah, so Coach went through two kind of big sentimental kind of life moments when I was here. Last year he lost his mother, and then this year with the whole cancer thing, as many people are aware. But it's inspiring to see him push. You know, we had meetings in the fall where he could come in and barely talk, and he would have to have the assistant coaches run the meetings, those kind of captains meetings I was talking about. And he would ask us what our greatest concern was, and a couple of us said, you know, what's your health situation going to be like come day one, and how are we going to be able to continue, you know, or stay the course, as you would say. And I mean, he continued to do the right thing, and he was healthy. So to see him being able to fight back from something like cancer, it's easy for us to run an extra sprint or run harder or touch the line. You know, it's hard to make excuses when someone like that is doing that great.
Absolutely. So why did you choose Susquehanna University, stepping a little bit outside of basketball?
Yeah, so the reason I chose it was mainly because of Coach. I was between here and Babson, which actually won the national championship, which is pretty cool. But the atmosphere I got here and the feel, the environment was really like no other. You know, I left here and my mom said I could be happy sending you here. So, you know, when your mother approves, you can't say no to that. But yeah, it was tremendous. The business school was, I mean, I love the business school here. I love the professors. I got to spend a night with Josh Miller, and the things that Josh talked about and his kind of approach to basketball and to getting playing time and how the team should be, and I was like impressed with his responses and stuff like that. So that's really what shaped my decision to come here.
What's your major? You mentioned the business program. Is that your major, and how has your major kind of shaped your Susquehanna experience?
Okay, so I'm a finance major, and I think it's taken a lot of time out of my days. It's not that easy going through the business school here, as many people probably are aware. You know, it's not easy classes, takes a lot of time. But I think it's really shaped me to develop the time management skills and to be able to stay on top of things. And I feel like when you're in season, you know, you're able to do better in school because you're more focused on getting things done earlier instead of procrastinating. So that's something I've really learned. Some
of your interests off of the court, besides when you're playing basketball and being in the weight room and hanging out with some of your teammates, what are some of the activities you like to do besides all of what I just listed?
I mean, I really like to just hang out and relax because, you know, this takes a lot of time out of you. I have a couple of roommates, you know, Evan, Mark, and Dylan, and we spend a lot of time together. You know, my friend Evan, you probably don't know him, Evan Marquis. He used to play baseball here, but you can't keep that kid out of the weight room. Mm-hmm. Kid's constantly in the weight room. So for us, when we get a couple minutes just to hang out, you know, we all like to kind of just do whatever, hang out outside. We set up the baby pool the other weekend, you know, just hang out outside, whatever we can do.
Where do you see yourself now that you're a senior? Where do you see yourself next year? What should we expect next for Steven Weidlich?
I don't know. The path is kind of unknown for sure. If you asked me this question about 4 or 5 months ago, I was pretty set that I was going to take a job with Merrill Lynch down in Reading, PA. And then I kind of found out that playing overseas was more of a possibility. So that's the path I'm trying to pursue. You're only young once, and my legs still work barely, so why not try to keep playing? It's kind of my mentality. So if I can get overseas somewhere, I'd hopefully like to get into Europe. I've been doing a couple combines and stuff like that, trying to stay in shape. So
pre-game routine that you have, or what type of music do you like to listen to before you play?
I'm a little bit against the grain on this one, I'd say. Some people come out and they get like their focus 300 shots. They have a typical routine. Me and Dan, it used to be last couple of years, we used to play a lot of horse before games. I used to be involved in that. And then this year it turned into me and Dan playing one-on-one from only shooting three-pointers. Then we would take shots from the bench and we would kind of have competitions like that. As far as music goes, I listen to very relaxing music, some Jack Johnson, whatever it is, just to relax myself. Because when you step on the court, your competitive juices are flying. And I don't want to be too high and going, be too aggressive when I step on the court. So I try to relax myself before.
Food that you like to eat?
If you ask Coach, it's pasta and meatballs. That's what we got every single meal. So I'll go with pasta and meatballs for that one.
So what's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you, whether on or off the court?
Kind of on and off. We were in Miami this past year. We were playing a couple games down there, and we had a big win, and me and Dan decided to go out and explore Miami a little bit and see kind of what was out there. And we were a little late to the bus the next morning, and it was not pretty. It was very uncomfortable and very awkward the whole day. So I continued to get crap from Coach about that day. But yeah, that's definitely the most embarrassing moment, walking on that bus, being me and Dan being the two seniors that have been here for 4 years, showing up late. So that was not a good thing.
See yourself, besides being late, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years from now?
I'm a Jersey boy. Hopefully I'm back home. I don't know if I want to necessarily stay in the same area, maybe Hoboken, hanging out a little bit. I'd like to stay in finance. I'm really into investments, and hopefully I can play overseas for a couple of years, and then I could go and try to use that to leverage a job.
And so you mentioned where you grew up. How did that shape you where you are today?
So I've been living in Jersey for a while now. I used to live in California before that, but there's a toughness to Jersey, I always say. People come out of there pretty tough, and it's not easy to. There's great basketball around there, and it's not easy to make it coming out of Jersey. So to be around so much competition, and anywhere you go, you can, drive 20 minutes and play against great competition is something that I've always valued, and I love that about Jersey.
How do you want to work here at Susquehanna University?
That's a tough question. Somebody who invests everything in everything they did, I used to say that I wanted to be labeled as, a winner. Evan Austin, he used to be here when I was a freshman, he was a sophomore, he graduated a year after, and he just talked about how everything's about winning. And that's kind of how our program has been shaped. But looking back on it, I'd like to be remembered as somebody who, took advantage of every opportunity they got and made the most out of everything.
If you could go back 4 years to the day when you were talking to yourself as a senior in high school, what would you tell yourself?
Continue to surround yourself by the best people. I truly believe that, if you look at the closest 5 people to you, you can tell I could tell you about yourself. So, if you surround yourself with the right people, you will change into that, and you will become a better person. And just to continue to work and look at others and see how people in the past have been successful and follow their past.
Can you tell us a fun fact about you that either we, on this interview, that we haven't really touched about, or just something that most people don't know about you?
I'd say the one thing a lot of people don't know is I love the beach. I could spend all day there for 10 hours out in the sun, and it kind of kicks me because I need to shoot and work out and stuff. But that's the one thing that takes precedence to playing basketball is I could just sit out there all day, whether it be reading a book or hanging out with my brother, whatever it is on the beach, getting a nice tan on,
Absolutely. And I'd like to thank Steven Weidlich for joining us here today on our first episode of the SU Spotlight. I am Josh Klein, your host. Thanks again, Steven Weidlich, and we hope to catch you next time on the SU Spotlight.